So keep on going with your silly dream by Piter on AO3. This fic may include suicidal thoughts. That is your warning. Chapter 25. Rooftops and ex-big brothers. Scary Scar Man. Izuku took back everything. He should just jump off a roof. He curled up tight underneath his All Might blanket, coughing from just how congested he was from crying so hard. Why was he an emotional wreck? More so than usual. Today was the UA entrance exams. Izuku was not at the chair surely waiting for him. Hell, he hadn't learned anything school-related for half a year. He wondered if Bakugo had placed first in whatever test they put applicants through. It was Bakugo, of course he had. Aside from texting both Uraraka and Shinso a good luck text, emptying Stroke's litter plus feeding him, he hadn't moved from his spot on the floor. He didn't even move as Stroke pawed at his face. He was just a lump of depressed blankets. God, it wasn't fair. He had wanted to be a hero so bad. Wanted to help, to save people, but no one had believed in him. Not Bakugo, not his mom, and certainly not All Might. Around him, the small room felt suffocating. The blanket was too hot. Izuku himself was exhausted. His chest was tight in the way that meant Izuku was about to lose his ability to. Yep, there it went. He clambered out of the window, firmly shutting it, and stumbled down the fire escape. He sprinted down the street, shockingly not jam-packed full like normal. But that didn't seem to matter. Nothing did. Only the pounding of his feet hitting the pavement and escaping what certainly must be his doom. That was all that mattered. Usually his feet carried him to a regular store, maybe a cafe, but not this time. In a haze, Izuku dully noticed he was sitting on the ledge of a roof. His hands trembled in his lap. He could do it. He could take a swan dive off the roof right now. Take that leap of faith. Really did what Bakugo had recommended all those months ago. There was nothing stopping him, but maybe that's why he didn't. No matter how alluring the hard pavement below was, how taunting the breeze, and how traitorous his brain was, Izuku would not jump. He would not die today. He had promises to keep, people to save, and a cat to take care of above all else. He cried all the way back to his apartment, ignoring the odd looks he got. So now the streets were full. As soon as Izuku started bawling his eyes out. Regardless, he did have work today. Damn, you look terrible. Burn scar guy looks at Izuku, splotchy, tear-stained face. Thanks, the teen said flatly, channeling his inner Eraserhead. Well, that be all for today? The man had bought more candy and popcorn and still wore his emo outfit. Really, was he a cosplayer or something? If he wasn't so ripped looking, Izuku might tell him to pay full this time. He raised his eyebrows, smirking in a way that had Izuku's hand hovering near the emergency call button behind the desk. Sassy, got it. A 10 was slapped on the counter before the stranger was on his way out. Yet he paused. Kid? He squinted back at Izuku's name tag, frowning. Deku. Yes, sir? Don't call me sir. Name's Dabi. Okay, Dabi, Izuku squeaked out, praying he wasn't about to get squashed for sassing the scary buff dude covered in scars. He needed to get better self-preservation instincts. Jesus Christ. The man's expression lost its psychopathic look, replaced by something softer, less jagged. Take care of yourself. You really do look like shit. With that, the man was gone. Izuku blinked. At least the weird guy, Dabi, had paid with the correct amount this time, even if he insulted Izuku. Maybe he didn't mean it in a bad way? He glanced at his reflection in the microwave hidden behind the counter. The ever-dark circles below his eyes were deeper than usual, and his eyes themselves were pink and puffy. His hair was growing back, but its green seemed more muted than before. He was tan with more freckles than ever, but his cheeks had lost their chubbiness. Hell, he was practically all muscle and no fat at this point. He should probably eat more if he wanted to grow and keep up his strength. Yeah, he looked like shit. Yet, the thought of food right now made Izuku feel sick. Maybe he'd start his self-improvement journey after today. Izuku had never been happier to burn off excess energy by bashing criminals with a baseball bat. He ignored the anxiety he still felt sitting on his chest like a rock. The night he dreamed of UA and quirks and all the things that could have went differently in his life, Izuku grieved for the life he could never have, not as a quirkless Deku. That is the end of chapter 25 of So Keep On Going With Your Silly Dream by Piter on AO3. On to the next chapter. Chapter 26. Breakdowns, Sparring, and Passing Out. A week later, he and Uraraka had met up at the park so she could tell him how it had gone. She looked somber, shuffling over to his bench slowly. Izuku felt his heart drop. Uraraka? All of a sudden, she beamed at him. Got you! I got in! Uraraka, that's great! Congratulations! Izuku cheered, standing and hugging the brunette. Thanks, Deku. I'm not gonna be working at the cafe anymore, since I'll need to focus on my studies. She held him away from her, looking straight into his eyes. This doesn't mean I want to stop being friends. You hear? Izuku grinned sheepishly. Yeah, I hear you. She dragged him back into herself, laughing. I'm just so excited! I'm gonna be a hero! Izuku ignored the bitter feeling settling in his gut. Hell, yeah, you are! They break apart, sitting on the bench. Izuku glanced over to the girl who clearly had something to say. The same girl who had talked to Izuku even on his worst days. When he came to her with puffy eyes, she went to keep talking. Be better friends even though she was leaving. She didn't just talk to him out of convenience, but because she wanted to be his friend. Izuku couldn't lie any longer. Uraraka, there's something I should tell you. She immediately zoned in on him, looking like she'd been waiting. Who knows? Maybe she had. My quirk. Izuku swallowed roughly, pushing down the panic. Every neuron screamed at him to run. Abort. Do not tell her. Your quirk? Uraraka asked softly, setting a hand on his shoulder. Izuku never had been the best at taking warnings. I don't have one, he whispered. I'm quirkless. The hand squeezed his shoulder lightly, but he didn't acknowledge it. Izuku stared at how his own clenched, shaking hands that rested in his lap. A tear dribbled down his cheek, dripping off his jawline. It wasn't the last. She knew now. She knew he was worthless. He had lost his friend. Hey, Deku! I can go if you... Izuku sobbed, tucking his head down for enough. His forehead touched his knees. No, I don't want you to go. And I'm not going anywhere either, Uraraka sounded determined. I kind of figured you were quirkless, Deku. Izuku blinked. Huh? You never even mentioned your quirk, even though you talk about everyone else's. And you aren't the most confident? Oh. Deku, I wouldn't stop talking to you over something like that. We're still best friends. She gave a hearty pat to his back. But best friends? Izuku finally looked up through his green hair. Uraraka looked sad, yet she nodded, holding a thumbs up. Izuku could find no contempt or dishonesty in her expression. Of course! If anyone asked, Izuku and Uraraka simply moved on, and he most certainly didn't sob into her shoulder for the next half hour. Despite neither of them having money to spare, but he thought it was fair they bought ice cream. Both in celebration and because one of them had a small mental breakdown. Sorry about that, Uraraka. we should be celebrating you getting into UA, not throwing me some pity party," Izuku said sheepishly, eating a small spoonful of vanilla ice cream. "It's okay. I was waiting for you to tell me." For a moment, they just walked silently before Uraraka cleared her throat. "Deku isn't your real name, is it?" Izuku almost dropped his ice cream. If he told her his name after she knew he was quirkless, one search on the internet and it was over. What? No, Deku is my name? Why would I lie about that?" Izuku stared down at his ice cream nervously. "Your parents named you useless? So what are you most excited for at UA?" He pretended not to see the girl pouting face as he changed the topic, but she was happy to gush on her new high school. "All Might is going to be a teacher," she squealed, almost dropping the strawberry ice cream. "Wow, really?" Izuku gasped. "Yeah, I know, it's so cool. I'm just worried I'll disappoint him. He is the #1 hero." "No way, Uraraka, you're amazing." Izuku immediately denied. "Your quirk especially." "I'm just not the greatest at hand-to-hand without my quirk." Izuku was quiet for a moment before he began muttering too fast for Uraraka to understand. Deku? Sorry, but, I might be able to help give you some pointers if you want to spar," he whispered nervously, fiddling with his spoon. "I took some self-defense classes, so, I know a little bit. If you can keep up." "Deku, you?" Uraraka panted, laying flat on the ground. "There's no way you just took one self-defense class. So, with your punches, you're currently curling your thumb inside your hand. If you do that, you'll end up breaking it. You also need to focus on punching with your whole arm, not just your fist." Deku trailed off, looking down at the brunette. "Oh, are you okay?" Uraraka groaned, flopping over to her stomach. They'd been sparring in a warehouse for an hour, give or take. No quirks. Uraraka had lost every single one by a lot. Deku looked down sympathetically. Yeah, he remembered that was what that was like. "Let's take a break. I think I can get us a discount in the store I work at." The brunette stayed face down, humbled, and gave a shaky thumbs up. Izuku cracked his bat into a man's skull, and a few more times for good measure. As he fell, so did the odd bonding material keeping a woman trapped against the wall. "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you," she sobbed, hugging the vigilante. He blinked, patting her back awkwardly. She didn't let go. Izuku should probably struggle a little more, but what if she was just traumatized? I've heard a lot about you, Yahoo," she whispered, grip tightening. "My boss thinks you might be a problem. You don't really rely on a quirk, so our special bullets probably won't stop you. She sighed, huffing slightly. Izuku blinked in confusion before suddenly cool hands, metal, entered his side. It didn't actually hurt too much. Izuku simply stands there as the woman runs away. His fingers were numb, so the lack of pain was likely because of adrenaline. He walked down the sidewalk, moving on autopilot. Logically, he was aware there was still a knife buried in his ribcage. He still didn't feel it. Yahoo! There you are! Some female, judging by the voice, called out. Izuku looked at Mirako, waving, one hand still holding the area around the knife. Haven't seen you since, the whole media blow up. She trailed off, eyes catching on his hand and the knife. What the hell? You're just... She signed, grabbing one of his arms and dragging him off. You're lucky I like you, and that I'm not any other hero worse than Keigo, I swear. Mirako continued grumbling. Damn. Is this really how he got arrested? Izuku stumbled, blinking back the spots from his vision. He could hear Mirako talking to him. What was she saying? He had no idea. Couldn't be that important. His knees buckled. The world went black. That is the end of chapter 26 of So Keep On Going With Your Silly Dream by Piter on AO3. If you liked this, please go support the original author. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you for 300 subscribers. Hope you have a great day.